Hello everybody and welcome to OnBoard by WFR TV, and welcome, more importantly, to Eastern France for the first of 4 rounds of the 2026 BNL Karting Series season. Now, as you can see, there's some tomfoolery in the background with people on bikes and everything because the track is done for the day. However, we start the path to Portimao, which sees the grand finals head to the Algarve on the 21st to the 28th of November this year. We've got 5 tickets to give away in Mini, Junior, Senior, DD2 and DD2 Masters. But also we broke some news just before the opening round where the Senior Rotax champion will get a day's worth of testing in a Formula 4 car with MP Motorsport. But this 1.45 kilometre circuit has been operating for 30 years, first established back in 1996. Fast, flowing, especially through the first sector, and highly technical. But it's time to give you the lowdown on what happened here for round 1 of 4 of the BNL Karting Series in 2026.
Not just being the season opener for the 2026 season, Ostricourt Racing Kart JPR would also be the longest circuit on the calendar's schedule for 2026, as this circuit, located just around about a 25-minute drive from Lille International Airport, runs clockwise. Measures 1,450 metres with 3 sectors in total. Over the course of every single lap, it would be a challenging one for the drivers here at Ostricourt, with a total of 13 corners to navigate their way around. The combined total grid for Mini and Mini Rookie would be 26 in total, with a who's who of the young superstars of the future here in Eastern France. Pole position would be secured by KR Sports' Josh Cook in the 175, representing the United Kingdom. With it being Josh Cook and Dayan Habits on the front row, the Belgian on the outside of the front row of the grid would take the start and lead the way into turn number 1, whereas Josh Cook would find himself dropping 4 positions, ending up P5 in the opening couple of corners of the race lap itself, with August Ligabel-Lingzo, Austin Oman and Maria Roberto, Joshua Cook's KR Sport teammate, making their way through. Eventually, Joshua Cook would fight his way back to the sharp end of the field and eventually pass and take the lead off of Dayan Habits. Austin Oman would definitely be one that you could consider as a hot contender for this category, as Joshua Cook pulled away into the distance. It was a 3-kart brawl for second on the road. Cook would eventually win the final on day 1, ahead of Oman and Roberto, with Habits rounding out the top 4.
So joining me, our winner in the Mini-Max final on day 1, Josh Cook from KR Sport. It was a bit of a dogfight out there, Josh, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had to push with Austin for the first couple laps, but in the end, yeah, it looked quite like a scrap.
Now, this track here, it's the longest on the calendar, fast, especially in that opening sector through turns 1 and 2. Are you completely full throttle, hammer down the whole way through it, or do you have to, lift a little bit?
No, full throttle from the last corner all the way to turn 3.
Yeah, I mean, you and Austin were having a really, really good sort of seesaw battle, but it also shows the fact that even though we've got you guys in Mini-Max, but we've also got the Mini Rookies, that adds a nice little bit of a dynamic to the grid as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've got Arthur Bowers in our tent, who's a Mini Rookie, and he's normally racing Micromax in the UK, so it helps him with the learning and the getting ready for Mini next year.
So, one final question, Josh. What do you like most about the circuit here at Ostricourt?
I really like the high speed, flowiness of it, and yeah, I think it's a great track.
Brilliant. Well done in the final today for day 1. Good luck for Sunday.
Thank you.
So once again, turning to day 2, Josh Cook would again strike and get pole position ahead of the pre-final on Sunday. As we went racing underneath the Sunday afternoon sun, and because Austin Amman was disqualified post the pre-final for being underweight, it was Joshua Cook and Maria Roberto that led the field into turn number 1. Charlie Page, however, in the 114 from the UK showed his prowess with a neat overtake up the inside of Roberto through into turn 1, and off he went chasing those in front. Plentiful battles up and down the order, and even with a hop, skip and a jump from Maria Roberta going through into turn 6, she managed to keep it on the black stuff. And as Joshua Cook powered away into the distance, it was clear to see he was the one to set the standard with a maximum points haul, making him the championship leader after the opening round. A great show of sportsmanship between Austin Amman and Josh Cook, but it would be Josh Cook that would be leading the way. Arlo Gamble, the defending Mini rookie champion from last year, would lead a top 3 in the Brits, and it would be a top 4 lockout, with Ryan Townsend finishing behind Cook, Amman and Roberto in the top 3. Arlo Gamble leads the opening round of the series as the championship leader heading into round 2 at Marienborg, ahead of Lenny Barton and Arthur Bowers. Joshua Cook, Austin Amman and Maria Roberto were on the podium in the Minimax division. Heading into DD2 and DD2 Masters, the only gearbox-driven Rotax karts of the weekend, we had a total of 13 competitors here, which included reigning and defending DD2 Masters champion from last season, Francis Christophe Capitan. But on Saturday, pole position went the way of Scheppers Racing Services' Len Nys from Belgium in the DD2 class, whereas Jim Ringelberg took pole position in DD2 Masters. And with it being a Scheppers SP Motorsport front row, Len Nys would lead the way heading into turn number 1, with Jim Ringelberg getting a great launch. Jort van Wyk would find Nicolas Guillaume over his back bumper, thereby causing a noisy exhaust and meaning the 433 from the Netherlands would have to retire. Len Nys would pick up the win in DD2, and Jim Ringelberg, coming across the line in 4th, would win in Masters.
So, I've met a good friend in the paddock. He's now a team boss, Arthur Lehoucq, French soil, home circuit. How does it feel to be here, buddy?
It feels very nice. It's like 20 minutes from my house, so it's like home track. Drivers are doing some good job before in DD2, P9 in Mini, and Junior is a little bit harder, but we're getting there tomorrow, one more day.
Yeah, and you're not exactly a slouch behind the wheel of a kart. You're still running in KZ these days, and obviously still doing your sim racing. That's how we came to know each other. But I think what's the attraction for you as a team owner to come to the BNL Karting Series? What's the big sort of like pulling in point?
We are doing with my team a lot of race in Rotax in France, but the level in BNL is same as European and world level. So for my young driver, it's very nice to come here and to get some experience. So it's also good to learn sometimes.
Brilliant, Arthur. Good to see you. Good luck to the rest of the team for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, guys.
So on Sunday, once again, Len Nys would put it on pole position, really showcasing his strength in the DD2 class. Jim Ringelberg did the same again in DD2 Masters as we went underway for the final on day number 2. Len Nys would lead Theo Lemoyne and Ralph van der Pavert into turn 1. Guillaume would get his elbows out and get past DD2 Masters leader Jim Ringelberg very, very early. Also along there would be Theo Lang from Kraft Motorsport, but in jumped former RMC Germany champion and E20 Senior Grand Finals champion from last year, Yannick Jacobs in the 401 from Kraft Motorsport, but Len Nys could not be touched all weekend long, with Jort van Wyk and Ralph van der Pavert rounding out the top 3 in the DD2 class. More to the point, it was a great display as Jim Ringelberg capitalised on 2 straight final victories, beating the current reigning and defending champion Christophe Capitan, but Belgium ruled the roost here in Ostricourt. Jim Ringleberg leaves as the championship leader in the DD2 Masters class, ahead of Christophe Capitain and then Christophe Adams. Len Nyes has a maximum score in the DD2 Masters classification and will head to Marienborg as the series leader. A great breadth and depth of junior Rotax talent made their way to the French countryside here in Ostricourt for the opening round of the series, with a lot of nationalities including Algeria, the United Kingdom and so many more. But on pole position on Saturday, it would be Alfie Ward from KR Sport that would take the initial advantage heading into the pre-finals and the finals. But it would be Lieke van Berkel that would lead us into the final on day one. And there would be a lot of elbows out heading into the opening corner, but a drama in the background saw the 210 have dramas. That was Jente Moonen, whereas Redeka Kart Racing Team's Lionel Munguia quite clear with frustration after being eliminated on the opening tour. Sam Pollock Racing's Kian Bernard was the man on the move. He managed to get his way past Solaris Pascu and then would dispose of Lieke van Berkel in quick succession. Meantime, fellow Brit and MLC Motorsports young hotshot Jensen Chalk was very much in the mix, and even seeing the likes of the 222 Louis Radcliffe getting his elbows out, along with the likes of Finlay Lines in the 281 from KR Sport. With a little bit of rally crossing to boot here in the opening final of the weekend, a bit of a drama including the 253 of Harry Taylor. But then also with that, Kian Bernard would lead the conga line, but it would be the 219 of Albert Friend crossing line on the road. Post-race he was penalised and Bernard picked up the win.
So, day one is in the books, and the man who took pole position at the Champions Winter Trophy earlier on at Karting Genk, well, Kian Bernard, congratulations, day one winner in the final. It was a tough battle out there because you had yourself, we had Riley, Murrow, we had the likes of Lucian Smith, Albie Friend. the list goes on and on, but you must be feeling pretty happy after day one ending on a good note.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good day. Struggled a bit at the start of the day with getting the correct setup with the kart, but you know, for the final, everyone really works really hard, and yeah, the kart felt amazing. So from 9th to ending up winning is a really good feeling.
I think also with the fact you had a whole host of, I mean, like, you know, when you think about it, out of the top 10, there were like 6 or 7 KR Sport karts. It was a case of battling against the numbers, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely, because obviously they've probably been told to all work together and stuff, so, you know, I just did what I could, to be honest, so... Yeah.
And how is it having Riley Murrow now moved up from Minimax to a teammate of yours in the same category for this year?
Yeah, he's obviously a really good driver. I think he's done a really good job from the step up to Mini to Junior, obviously, because he won at Genk, the Winter Trophy. So, yeah, I don't know, nothing bad about it. He's a really good teammate.
And final question, Kian, who would you like to thank for all the hard work and everything that's gone in today here on day one?
I'd like to thank Kart Republic. The chassis was amazing. HRS Engines, Sam Potter Racing, Lewis, my brother for mechanicking for me, my parents.
I think you're out of words now, young man. But congrats on the victory in the day one final. Good luck for tomorrow.
Pole position on Sunday, however, would go the way of Dan Holland Racing's Harry Taylor, who would stick it on pole, ready ahead of racing action. It was Kian Bernard versus Finlay Lines into turn number 1 with the 281 from KR Sport, finding himself ending up in second position. But then a little bit of a drama for the 221 of Switzerland's Luan Seidel, which caused chaos and carnage behind, with multiple karts being involved in an incident off of turn number 3. Bernard would start to stride away into the distance in the early goings of the race, but the battles were thick and fast, with the likes of Finley Lyons trying to make sure he got in the action, along with the 2.27 of Louis Radcliffe, showcasing that he was one to watch here this weekend with great pace. Radcliffe, Bernard and Lyons would duel for the race lead in the final on day 2, Radcliffe taking the advantage, Finley Lyons trying everything in the playbook and tried with a great move at the minute to try and get through for the race lead. Bernard would then get through on Radcliffe and take second position. And then the hunt would begin in earnest as Finley Lyons broke away ever so slightly, but then Louis Radcliffe through at turn 7 managed to get through. They would continue duelling for the lead whilst Cian Bernard was looking for his opportunity to strike, and at turn 8 a couple of laps later the 282 from Sam Pollock Racing took his advantage, got 2 for the price of 1 and got into the race lead. Meantime, as he pulled away into the distance, there were quite a few other drivers, including Jensen Chalk, that would go for victory, but Cian Bernard would do the double here at Ostricourt and leave as the overall series leader. It was a top 2 for the Brits, with Switzerland's Luan Seidel rounding out the top 3 on the podium. Harry Taylor and Finn Albert Jorgensen from Denmark would also show good account of themselves. Cian Bernard leaves the first round of the series in the overall championship lead with a maximum score of 110 points. 47 senior road tax drivers would make their way to Ostricourt for the opening round, and a 4 for 2026, with a who's who of some of the brightest talents that really can showcase their skills here at this 1.45 kilometre circuit. Pole position would go the way of Dan Hollands Racing's Flying Dutchman, Thijs van Wijk. But in the field, the reigning BNL and also Grand Finals champion Macaulay Bishop from the UK for Dan Holland Racing would be in attendance. A thick battle happened very, very quickly, and it would be the fact that we would have a winner in the way of Charlie King from Strawberry Racing in the 3.74, finishing ahead of senior rookie Max Swiderski, and also with that Macaulay Bishop rounding out the top 3. The heats would continue on Saturday with the likes of Scott Marsh from Strawberry Racing in the 3.47 showcasing his prowess, but also with that Thijs van Wijk striking first before everyone got the opportunity.
So joining me, team owner from KR Sport. It's good to see you again at Ash Orchard. It's always great to see you. But KR Sport has a long lineage with this championship. You know, Joe Turney, Clayton Ravenscroft, Sean Butcher have all won titles. What brings you and the team back here every single year for BNL?
Yeah, like you say, we've been here for many years. Like you've listed some fabulous names there that have competed with us, but we come back year in, year out. It's a great championship, well organised. It attracts the drivers, which is good for us as a team. You know, our customers want to come and do this championship. The competition's good. You know, that's obviously always what we're looking for as well. And it's one of the best road tax championships to do. So yeah, we always come back.
And you've brought a hell of a lot of juniors here this weekend as well. Alfie Ward, Sebastian Clark, Finley Lyons. I could list probably all of them. I'd probably lose count, but again, it just shows the progression of how road tax competition is just so close, and especially coming here to the BNL where we've been running now. This is year 18, and we celebrate our 20th anniversary in 2 years' time. It just goes to show that with yourself and team owners like Dan Holland, like we see with Stan Pex, everyone's back every single year, going to the Champions Winter Trophy, going to the first round, and everyone just mucks in, don't they?
Yeah, exactly that. Like I said earlier, this is where the customer wants to be. It's one of the major championships. We want to be here as a team. The customers want to be here as a team. Yeah, it's a great championship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Orchard. Good to see you. Good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Pole position on Sunday would see another different pole sitter. Belgium's Vince van der Halle from Bouvin Power in the 372 would stick it on pole for day 2. However, when it came down to the final itself, we had quite a few drivers showcasing their prudence in this race. And more to the point, you had the likes of Harry Freeman, Canada's Ryan Gandor et al. Battling away. Macaulay Bishop would definitely showcase that he was not one to be trifled with, even though he'd already qualified for this year's Grand Finals at Portimao in the United States earlier on this season. He was still on top form. More dueling and dicing between Scott Marsh and Bran van der Weyken, as Charlie King would stick his oars out in front of Macaulay Bishop and Max Swiderski. But also drama to Vince van der Halle getting turned around at turn 8 heading into the chicane. Also along with that, Antoine Lemieux from Canada was another driver to keep your eyes on over the course of the weekend in the 303, having moved to KR Sport colours for this season. And as always, Senior Rotax never fails to excite here at any circuit it plays host to. Especially when you had the likes of Tino Sidler, who on day 1 had an absolutely shocking qualifying, but Macaulay Bishop would end up taking the win here on day 2. Well, Macaulay Bishop ruled the roost ahead of Thijs van Wijk and Vince van der Halle when it came to the top 10, with Sverre Ubben and Lars Lambers rounding out the top 5 positions. Macaulay Bishop continues his run as the defending champion, leads after the opening round out of 4 ahead of Thijs van Wijk, his DHR teammate, and Bouvin Power's Vince van der Halle rounding out the top 3. That concludes our coverage here on Onboard by WFR TV, as the series will now head to Karting Défagne at Marienborg in the Corval region of southern Belgium between the 17th to the 19th of April. Also, the Rotax Grand Finals has changed its date, going 2 weeks earlier between the 7th to the 14th of November. We'll see you next time here on Onboard by WFR TV. Thanks for tuning in.